Hi everyone, how you doing? In this video, I'm going to be taking you through sewing essentials that you need plus some extras to get started on sewing. So let's get started. Okay, so I own a size 4 dress form. This is optional to have, but if you're looking to do draping and couture type stuff, then this is highly suggested. This is not my size, but I make my alterations when creating my patterns. And funny story, I picked this up downtown. I'm from New York, and I had to drag this thing on the train, down the block, and all. And when I got home, my body was done. Like, I had to do a lot of lifting and going up and down the stairs, and it was a lot. But I got this dress form for a really good price because the store was closing down, so they were just letting go of a lot of stuff. So I'm grateful that I now have a dress form. It's not in the best condition, but it does what I needed to do. Okay, so I have various different scissors that does different things. I have a pair of scissors that only cuts paper. I have scissors that only cuts fabric. I have scissors that only cuts threads and etc etc. um but you want to get at least two scissors that can cut your fabric, like this one that I have here. This is my scissors that I cut fabric with, and it's good quality, and you really want a good pair of scissors. And this is how it looks. There's weight to it, and you don't want to cut anything else but your fabric with your shears. So I also have these little Japanese scissors where I just cut, you can cut through threads and seams and things like that. So you also want to have that. Um, and I had a few. And these are just miscellaneous scissors that I have in my box. But it's always good to have backup. This is my rotary cutter, which you use a cutting mat with to cut through fabrics and get a precise cut. So this is how the Japanese scissors look, and it's not that expensive if you go online. Okay, so as you can see, I have many rulers, measuring tapes, and you're gonna need at least one ruler, one measuring tape. But I'm gonna show you the various ones that I have. This is just a big quilting type ruler that I like to use sometimes while cutting my fabric um, or measuring stuff. It's very big, it's wide, it's I think 24 inches long. And of course, this is essential. Like, this is so important, and it's cheap. Um, your measuring tapes, and then I have a gauge, and it's just like a mini ruler. And sometimes I measure my hemming, and then I have the French curves and the straight rulers, and you're gonna need this type of French curve ruler um, to draw in curves and things like that, perfecting lines. So this is definitely essential, and I got this for like $1 off some China website. So I'm pretty sure you could find it somewhere for very cheap. I mean, it's just plastic, it's just a piece of plastic, so it's not that expensive, but you really need this. I have the other rulers. I use this, especially the straight ruler. I definitely use this a lot, almost every time I'm sewing something, or I'm drafting or pattern making. And I got these cool rulers from my old job. It's just cool. It just shows the New York City train station stops, and it has a ruler in the back. And I don't know, I just keep it, but I don't really use it like that. So now you have your threads, which you definitely need for your sewing machine. And I have the cones and the regular, I'm not sure what it's called, but the pink one. Um, so those are the cones, and then the regular one like this. And I use them both for my machines, and you want to get a good quality thread. But I'll be getting the little ones for like 50 cents each from my nearest fabric store. So I always look for the deals. They've been working fine for me, so it's no problem. And of course, you need bobbins to spin your thread on that goes inside of your machine. And they too are very cheap that you can find at your fabric store. And I just place it in this little container that I have so I can just keep track of all of them. But yeah, it can get a little messy with all the threads, but that's how it is. Okay, so I have my needles here for my machine and also to do hand stitching. But you're gonna need an assortment of different types of needles depending on what project you're working on. There's like leather needles, there's needles for stretch fabric, there's needles for different types of materials. And then this is my hand stitching needles that I use. And these are how the machine needles look. And I always get this name brand. And the one that you should get to start off with is the universal. So that's like that can cover all types of materials. This is how it looks. Okay, so here I have my pins. Now you see I have a tomato, I have a magnetic pin holder, and I just have a regular container. I feel like if you sew, any sewer should have a tomato, even if you don't use it. It's just like a little, something to have as a sewer. And then this is a magnetic holder, which is cool to use in case your pins fall and you need to like sweep them all up. You can use that magnetic holder to just pick them all up. But this is how the tomato looks, and sometimes I just place the pins inside, but I don't really use it like that. And then I have this magnetic holder, which again, it just sweeps up every pin that may be on the floor or on the table, and it doesn't fall or anything like that. It's magnetic, and I got this for $1. And so I'm showing you, for example, if I drop some pins, it'll be able to pick it up quickly. But I mainly use that container that you see with my pins. And then these are just extras. I have safety pins, I have fabric chalk that you can use as well to make markings on the fabric. And this is how it looks. It's just a thin piece of chalk, or sometimes I use chalk that you draw on the ground with. And this is a pattern tracer, and this is just for advanced stuff, like just trying to trace a pattern onto a piece of paper and things like that. That's what you would use. And then my seam ripper, which you definitely need, and it's very cheap. This is a must because if you make a mistake, you're able to pick the seams out, the threads out with that little tool. And then this is just something extra. Say if you're setting in buttons or hems and stuff like that, you're able to do it accurately. Okay, so these are some weights that I use when I'm cutting out my fabric, and I lay it right on top of the fabric. And I actually bought these from Home Depot for like 97 cents each, um, because the real ones that you're supposed to use for your fabric is like 35 for like four of the weights, $35 for four of them. And I'm like, no, like I like to really look for deals and look for alternatives and stuff. So that's what I came up with, and it works for me. So go and check them out. And then we have the pens and erasers and pencils, which you really need, and markers and all that, because when you create your own patterns and write things down, you're gonna need your writing utensils. So it's always good to have a couple pens or pencils near you or near your workstation. Okay, so I like to keep a notepad or a notebook around so that I can write down any information that I need to concerning a project that I'm doing, or different stitch lengths and stitch widths of the type of stitch that I'm doing on fabric, or different things like that, that you should write down. Anything that's important that you think you may forget, you just write it down. And last but not least, this is very important, but you should have at least an iron, to press your garments, to press your seams out, and to have clean work. That's something that I push so much, to have clean work. Doesn't matter if you create your garment at home, make sure your garment is nice and clean and neat and pressed out. No wrinkles and slopping looking mess. Okay, so it's very important. I also have a steamer, which you can also get, but the most important thing is to have an iron at hand, an ironing board. You want to use it to press out your seams and press out your finished garment and etc. So, okay, and that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please get the necessary tools that you need to create cool, great, amazing quality garments. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Later, guys.